Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with everyone's favorite line of Mattel Jurassic World figures. Yes, we have more Fierce Changers, and at this point I would say I don't know why they keep making them, but here I sit with them on my review station, which means I purchased them, so maybe I'm part of the problem? I don't know. I also really do want to support any and every line Mattel creates because I really want them to know that I want as much Jurassic World stuff and Jurassic Park stuff as I can get. So please keep making it, even if you sometimes don't succeed at what you are doing, like these figures are pretty ugly, but I want anything and everything Jurassic. Keep going and keep doing it. But as you can see, we've got more of the Hidden Hatcher figures. Very cool species choices this time around, though, as we've got the Spinosaurus, a very interesting Velociraptor, an Indoraptor, and the Carnotaurus. I'm so happy to see the Carnotaurus getting love in every line nowadays. But they look pretty much the same as last time as far as the packaging goes, so I'm just going to pop them out of the box and jump straight to a closer look right now. So we will begin with the Spinosaurus this time around, and it is nice to see the Spino back for another figure. I know we're going to be getting another Spinosaurus. I think maybe it's an Epic Attack version at some point, which will be fun if the Epic Attack figures ever begin actually showing up around these parts. But you can see this Spinosaurus is kind of based on the Camp Cretaceous paint scheme, or at least that's my take on it. We've got a pretty nice looking head sculpt, nice looking detail on the head sculpt, a reddish tone for the upper part of the head, a light tone for the lower part, and you can see there is a speckling on the figure as well. We have a big black eye sporting a nice gloss coat for the eye. It really does look genuinely alive. You know, that eye is actually really nicely done, so I definitely have to give them some props for that. We do, or should at the very least, have an articulated jaw. There we go. So you can see the inside of the mouth sports a pinkish tone of color. The teeth are all sculpted fairly decently for what they are. They're all painted with like an off-white bordering on kind of like a light yellow. And everything inside the mouth looks fairly decent. The pink tone even runs up there onto the inside of the mouth on the upper side, and there is a gloss coat, so that's pretty nice to see. It's crazy when we get these figures because you look at this and at least I know I personally think, wow, look at the paintwork on this. Because as you can see, we've got paintwork from head to tail on the Spinosaurus, all the way out onto the tail. Even the underside has that light tone running all the way out onto the tail. The nails are painted. Like, what's going on? Why do we have better paintwork on these than we do on the main line? But obviously, we've got some articulation for the figure. You can move the head up and down on top of that articulated jaw. You can't really go left or right or anything like that though. But as you move back into the body, you can see we have a stripe moving down with the lighter tone through the body. You also have the sail up here on the back, which kind of has a darker tone at the bottom and then a reddish tone like we see on the face. And then you lead down, the legs also have some fairly decent detailing to them, and again the nails are painted with a nice glossy black. So it's an interesting one, and it actually might be the very first time we've ever seen a Spinosaurus with an articulated sail. Didn't see that one coming. I guess that's to switch this and transition it into, or I should say transform it into an egg, because that's the gimmick for these. You can see the hands look absolutely ridiculous though, but in general the figure as a whole looks pretty ridiculous. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. We're not going to articulate them into the eggs quite yet. We also have the Velociraptor, which looks interesting. Again, we've got a greenish tone for the majority of the body. You also have a light kind of a green for the lower jaw and the underside, as well as of course the egg itself of the figure. You can also see we've got a brown moving along the back, and again all the way out under the tail. Yes, again we've got painted nails. I just don't understand. We have an articulated jaw for our Velociraptor, kind of a bright pink for the inside of the mouth of this one. That's definitely not a tone of pink I see very often on the Mattel line, so that's pretty intriguing. But obviously the eye is painted with a black, sports a very nice gloss coat, just like the others had. All of these figures in this line. No, that's not true actually. I could see the Indoraptor for sure has a red eye. But again, it's a decently sculpted figure. It's just too bad they're ugly. But it's always so impressive to me that Mattel will put so much into these figures when it comes to the fine detail. For being such a goofy looking figure, like, they don't skimp out. Even when they, in my opinion, because this line's definitely not taking off, fail at a line, they still put their all into it. So I have to commend them for that. Also, you can articulate the tails of these figures on top of the jaw and, of course, the head. Not really much else because, I mean, the legs I guess technically could because you have to lift them up like this, but that's just to transform it into the egg. You've also got the Indoraptor, which actually looks horrifying because he doesn't have a pupil. I don't know why he doesn't. They could have, put a pupil there. It's not that hard, especially considering his body color is already black, so they just basically had to eliminate a little circular section in the center of the eye to give it that black pupil. But whatever, you can see the sculpt looks pretty fun for this one. Again, the detailing looks great. It's very crisp. We even have the quills up here on the top of the head, and the detailing looks maybe even better than most of the mainline Indoraptors we've seen. We do have an articulated jaw, and you can see again that we've got a pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth. Another different tone of pink than what we had seen, a little bit of a darker tone this time around. You can see all of the teeth are sculpted pretty decently, all sculpted individually, painted individually, again with an off-white, and they have that interlocking look like you would see for the Indoraptor. And again, as you move down into the body, you have that yellow, or I should say gold stripe with the kind of like orangish tones running along the outer edge of it all the way out onto the tail. You've even got some more quills here on the back. You've got that scoot-like appearance moving down, and again the nails have a gloss coat, so yet again very nicely painted overall. Just unfortunately they're just very ugly figures, but again at the same time I'm very aware of the fact that these are not meant to please everyone. They're not aimed at adult collectors. They're clearly aimed at children, and kids will definitely enjoy these. There's no doubt about that. So I see what Mattel is doing here, even though I say it's a failed line, just because I know that they're not flying off the shelves, or at least I feel like they're not, because every time I go to my stores, they're just everywhere. Nobody's ever really picking them up. Doesn't seem like there's ever a decrease in stock for these, but I'm sure whenever kids do pick them up, they do have a lot of fun with them, even if as an adult collector, they're definitely not my favorite thing. And then the Carnotaurus here somehow got the weirdest look to him. I don't know what happened to this poor guy. But you can see again, he's got a super awkward looking face and head. However, the detail, as far as the fine detail, does look really good, really crisp. You can see we've got a brown for the upper part, a tan or a light brown for the lower jaw, and you also have kind of a speckling moving through. We have some darker browns moving along the upper part of the head. No actual paintwork for the horns or anything for our Carnotaurus. Again, a black eye with a nice gloss coat. As you open the mouth, we can see again that the teeth are sculpted pretty nicely, almost all sculpted individually and painted again with that light yellowish tone or an off-white. We again have a pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth, which looks pretty decent. Same deal for the inside of the mouth on the upper side, and again that jaw articulates really nicely, and of course the neck articulation and tail articulation and all of that. As you move down into the tail, somehow the Carnotaurus gets screwed because he has the dark brown here in the back, but he is the only one that does not have paint that technically runs out onto the tail on the upper side. You have the speckling running out, but none of the patterning. We do have the light tone running out onto the tail, but I think that's because it helps to kind of conceal the dinosaur when you transform it into an egg. And obviously we have the nails painted, which is a plus, I guess, but you can see the detail looks fairly decent through the entire figure. Again, the paintwork also looks pretty decent, so it's unfortunate that they somehow still look really ugly because the paintwork is actually quite nicely done. So I'm going to transform my Carnotaurus into the egg. I think this is pretty quick and easy to do, so I don't have to like do it off screen. I think it's a fairly simple transition, if I remember correctly. Let's go ahead and just bring this stuff all up here. And then we just kind of enclose our Carnotaurus. There's always a way to do this that I forget. I think I have to like do the sides first maybe, and then the top. I'm not sure why he's not connecting. Okay, so I'm an idiot and I just remembered I was supposed to flip that over and I did not do that. So now the head can go down further, which means that this egg should close up correctly now. Yes, it absolutely can. It wasn't before because I didn't have the body in the correct spot. So now you can see the egg is transformed. Still doesn't really look much like an egg, and we even have randomly some arms out here, so at some point some dinosaur exploded and its unfortunate arms landed on the egg, which is very disturbing, but the texturing and everything of the egg looks fairly decent. I don't think I'm going to transform each and every one of them into the eggs because I really can't see people interested in seeing that. But that basically shows you how they transform once you turn them into the egg. Now I've left my Carnotaurus temporarily in its egg position because for a size on the egg, you are looking at about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. And then for a size on one of the figures when it is not in egg shape or egg form, you're looking at a little over 2.5 inches or right around 6.5, maybe a little over 6.5 centimeters in height. And then length about approaching 3.5 inches, but not quite there, or around 8.5 centimeters. Now, each and every one of these figures are pretty much the same size. If you happen to have missed my previous review, again, they're all very similarly sized. They don't scale differently to each other. And then for a size comparison, I'm only going to do one because I really don't think we need a whole bunch of comparisons. We've done other comparisons in the past with the first round of these guys. But you can see we have Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Hidden Hatchers figures. And again, this should help to give you an idea of the fact that they overall are pretty small. So these Mattel Jurassic World Hidden Hatchers Wave 2 figures are just the same as they were the first time around. They're definitely not the greatest thing in the world, but again, as I said, I can definitely see why kids might enjoy them. You know, if I had dinosaur toys like this when I was a kid and I could transform my dinosaur into an egg and then kind of make it seem like he's hatching, I would have enjoyed that. As an adult collector, I think they're pretty hideous. I think they overall don't look very good in the egg form, and they don't really look good in the dinosaur form, but they're at least pretty highly detailed and nicely painted. They actually have some of the nicest paintwork that Mattel has put on any of their figures outside of maybe the Hammond collection, because we have, again, paint from head to tail on almost all of them. You've got painted nails and very nice precise paint overall. The eyes are also glossed better than I think any of the Mattel mainline figures are. The only downside for the eyes and stuff is the fact that we don't have pupils on any of them, and most of them, it works okay, like the black eyes are fine, but the red eye on the Indoraptor looks just disturbing with no pupil. But as a whole, again, they're definitely not the best thing ever. They're not the worst thing ever either. I will give them that. They're starting to kind of grow on me, but I feel like there's still a large amount of people that really hate these figures, so I don't think they're going to grow on everyone. But if you are interested in picking these up for yourself, head to your local Walmart because that is where I found mine. Again, they're just kind of starting to show up, although I have had these guys for like probably about 2 months now just sitting here. I just haven't gotten to them yet. But they seem to be still trickling out to most Walmarts, as I've only found these at one Walmart so far. But if you are interested, again, check your local Walmart, grab them if you want them, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.